Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us for today's discussion by the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. Our topic for today is self-care, understanding your mental health. My name is Dora Poniloro. I'm a social worker and a child welfare specialist. This topic today is very close to my heart because I also wrote my master's thesis on mental health among child welfare adolescents living at home while receiving care from the child welfare services. So I'm so glad to be moderating today's session, and we are so glad that this discussion is coming to life because it is a response to a request by the South Sudanese Students Association in Malaysian universities. The representatives, Majuline and Emmanuel, took contact with us and asked us to host this discussion because it is an important discussion, not only for young people and students, but for all of us as human beings. And we are so glad that you reached out to us. So the focus today will be on young people. And as you see, we have a panel of young people addressing these issues themselves. So thank you so much. I'll go in and present them to you. The first one out is Majuline Jubara. Majuline is a final year petroleum engineering student at the Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation. She is the current vice president of the South Sudanese Students Association in Malaysian universities. Majuline learned the value of dedication very early in her life and has been involved in the Students Association since she moved to Malaysia to pursue her higher education. She served in several roles in the association and is known for her commitment, service, and excellence. We are so glad to have you with us, Majuline. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Emmanuel Bulan. Emmanuel is a third-year petroleum engineering student at University Technology Petronas. He is the current president of the South Sudanese Students Association in Malaysian universities. He currently is doing internship and has been very active in co-curricular activities and held a few roles in clubs and societies at the university. Welcome, Emmanuel. We're so glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
Next person out is John Ladu. John Ladu is a social worker and he has worked as a manager of in various positions and first as the counselor at the Norwegian Labour and Welfare Services. And he has also worked as a manager of a reception center for unaccompanied refugee minors. And he's now the leader of a reception center for asylum seekers and refugees. You're welcome, John Lado. We have also with us Joan Mule. Joan Mule is a journalist, a researcher, a creative writer, and a mental health advocate. She works for iRadio, where they currently had discussion on mental health and several campaigns bringing awareness into our communities about mental health and breaking the stigmas attached to it. We are very welcome, Juan Mule. Mental health is a very important topic. We have had the discussions here on our forum several times, and we never end discussing about it because it is an important topic. The World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of well-being where an individual realizes his or her possibilities, can handle the normal stress of life, can work in a productive way, and have the opportunity to contribute to society. An obstruction of these manifestations of life because of one's mental state indicates mental problems or difficulties. Further, it goes on to say that mental health is more than just the absence of mental problems or disabilities, but fundamental for good quality of life. Mental health conditions account to 16% of the global burden of disease and injury in adolescents. While most adolescents have good mental health, multiple physical emotional, and social changes, including exposure to poverty, abuse, or violence, can make young people vulnerable to mental health problems. Mental health difficulties or problems do not necessarily meet the requirements for a medical diagnosis. And common to all mental problems is that they affect our thoughts, our feelings, behavior, and interaction with others. A common thread among most understanding of child and adolescents psychopathology is that the notion of internalizing those are problems that are being internalized and externalizing disorders, which in turn lead to mental health problems. Thus, individuals may have either psychic stress that is inwards or outwards through behavioral expressions. Depression is also a significant mental health concern worldwide because of the high prevalences and the chronic nature of the condition and the difficult treatment and recovery for it. Depression is ranked as one of the four major illnesses due to the utmost burden for individuals, families, and societies. University students face many challenges, including independent living, academic stress, and as well as planning for their future careers. And these difficulties predispose them to depression, mental and emotional stresses that can influence them to high risk behaviors such as increased levels of smoking, increased alcohol consumption, increased injurious behavior like cutting, maybe in self injuries. And depression, furthermore, can also affect their physical and mental health, as it is associated with acute illness, suicidal ideation, and suicide. We have seen a high prevalence of suicide among young South Sudanese students living abroad, who have gone abroad to study and face some mental health problems. So this is an important issue that we are addressing today to raise awareness and to help us also to fight it. And we see that there are also virus risks, that factors that are attributed for depression among university students. And it has been identified as higher study year, for example, lower socioeconomic status has been also one of the factors that are leading to mental health problems, poor academic performance, and life satisfaction. University students are a special group of people in critical transition from adolescence to adulthood and one of the most stressful moments in a person's life. And university students we know have a potential influence on the family and their life contribution to the country's workforce. So it is important that we focus on them and we also address the issues they are facing to be able to support them through their education. So we are so glad to have this diverse panel that will address this issue today. And we welcome the audience to come with comments and questions in the comment field. So I'll go on to ask our panelists the questions. I'll start with you, Juan Mule. You are a mental health advocate, and you are so passionate about making people aware about mental well-being and mental illness. Would you please walk us through your journey or your passion as an advocate, what you do in your work and the impact of your advocacy on breaking stigma attached to mental illness?
Amazing. Thank you so much. First, I want to appreciate you, the South Sudanese women intellectuals, and all the panelists for creating and coming up with this opportunity, a platform where we discuss more to do with what surrounds South Sudanese, both in South Sudan and in the diaspora. Now, I also want to appreciate our guild government of the Students Association of Malaysia Universities. I want to appreciate you so much for taking interest in knowing more about mental health and how we can help other students out there and see how we can cope with mental health and all the challenges that come with the education system. Now, I also, of course, will appreciate my fellow panelist, Mr. John, a social worker who is well experienced with mental health related issues. Thank you so much. My name is Joanne Mule, and she already introduced, and I am a mental health advocate. Now, why do I advocate for mental health? In my field of journalism, as I practice journalism and all these other things, I realize there is a gap as far as mental health knowledge is concerned in South Sudan and even the rest of the world. I should say that because there's a lot that is happening, but people do not notice, and people have decided to cope with the realities of this being this without uh, taking care, without finding out how best they can cope with that. And of recent, especially this year, there has been a rapid uh, uh, or suicidal death amongst youth that is between the age of 15 and 35. So, according to the information I got and research, it's funny that it's about the men. It's the men that are committing suicide more than the women. Okay, so that is in South Sudan in almost all the states. So that caught my interest. The most close was my nephew who committed suicide, and we were really close. And after that, two more other people that I knew in my community also committed suicide. That was in a period of 2 weeks. So it was more alarming at the rate at which we are committing suicide or our people are resorting to suicide as a solution to their problem. So that is what pushed me to advocate for mental health. I must say, I have also been there. I have been depressed and I had no solution to what I was going through. And when I got out of it, I felt like, sure, if I did it, somebody else can also do it. We just need to start talking about this and then find the support. That's how I got to come up with the idea of posting on my social media. And then so many people came and reached out and said, in fact, we are also going through the same thing. And we thought we could uh, come up with a network of professionals in this field, volunteers who would love to help as far as mental health related issues are concerned. So voluntarily, we got these people and we're still getting them. And we thought we could go and talk because first, if we start to help, people need to know what mental health is. And that's why we are right now going through using the media in South Sudan, the radio stations, the newspapers, to see that we tell people we get to answer the questions because people think that running mad on the streets naked is what we call mental illness. Yet it is not just that. Okay, that is the extreme I would refer to. So that is why we decided to come up with this network. So the Mental Health South Sudan Network um, is a network of volunteers who have knowledge of mental health related issues. Yes, so we do posts, we do ask for friends who see signs or indicators of mental health disorders amongst people in our environment and they get to inform us and reach out and say we this and that going on. How can we help? Personally, I am an advocate. I could not diagnose somebody that you are having mental illness, but there are indicators that can show that this person is not mentally okay. And so when you reach out, I connect you to the professionals to get the help that you seek. And that is how the mental health South Sudan is doing. This is the advocacy we are doing. Yes, in summary. So it's really positive so far with the radio talk shows and all that we're doing. We're getting feedback, and we are also trying to push and see how we can work hand in hand with so many other people, volunteers who are willing to help. Yes.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. It's so much needed. And thank you so much for reaching out with the volunteers and trying to make us all aware of that because it is, again, we had a discussion about it some time ago in the forum where we say that, it's not like we don't really have a terminology that says what mental health is. And it's difficult to talk about when you don't have the right words, the terms that express what mental health really is. So how was it reaching out to people? What is the response, especially to like the locals, people who really don't know how to express themselves about mental health? As you said already, it's not the person out there going naked in the street. That's not it. It's the simple, the feelings of maybe feeling down, feeling empty. How do we address those feelings before reaching to that level of running out in the streets naked?
Amazing. I want to say the response has been positive. People are actually surprised that they have been undergoing mental health related disorders without their notice because they feel it is normal. This is how South Sudan is. And it's more like the whole of South Sudan is suffering from mental health related issues. And that is a reality. So the response is they would love to know more. They're interested in how they can seek and find help. Okay, so far, I want to say with confidence that we have gotten information. We've received messages from colleagues and people from the community where their friends tried to commit suicide. They've reached out and we have tried to help them. And so far, I want to say since we started helping them, none of them has committed suicide. And it is a very positive thing and it keeps us pushing. So there are a lot of things that we shall have to put into consideration as we shall be discussing later on and see how we can help our society. And I'm glad my colleague here, Mr. John, is an expert in this field. He should be able to also give us more information on how we can go about this. As I stated earlier on, I am an advocate, but when it comes to the expertise as far as mental health is concerned, I am not. Okay. But I work with a network. So my work is to identify, to reach you, to connect you to the right people. Yeah. So far there've been a lot of questions. People have been asking, how can we do this? How can we do that? And we have been trying to address that. But as we said, mental health is a very wide thing. It is a very wide thing that we cannot deal with just right now. So it's just a matter of time that we shall get to know more and then find solutions. Yeah. Did I answer the question right?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
did.
sure.
Thank you so much. You did. You did. And I think it's a collective responsibility. We need to map up all together and join forces to address these issues.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. Yeah. I'll move on to you, John Ladu. And as you stressed on Juan, it's true we don't have like a psychiatric in the forum right now or a mental health practitioner. So it's very good to know that we are not going to go into the medical depth of it. We are going to talk as I'm a social worker as well. John Ladu is a social worker. You're an advocate, and these are students also that have experienced it. And we all have mental health, all of us, regardless of our profession or our background. So we are going to talk from our experiences and also what we have also worked on. So thank you for highlighting that. So John Ladu, as a social worker, what is your role in promoting mental well-being and raising awareness about mental health issues or illnesses? You have managed a reception center for unaccompanied refugee minors, and I suppose mental health has been a very big part of your focus as a manager there. Would you walk us through that and how you worked in regards to mental health? Thank you.
Thank you, Dora, and thank you, John, for the work you people have started actually there. Uh, Mental health had been an issue which is of non-existence but buried down. No one actually cares about it, but we all suffer about it. We suffer, and whether we don't care about it. But it's good that people begin to raise this thing awareness on this, and that everyone has to look into it. Uh, Exposure to mental health issues, I began working with it, say, about 10 years ago when I work with the young people who leave their country, age 15, 18, leave their country, come to this country and start establishing their life here. And yes, one thing, say Europe is a paradise, but it's not easy. We also have to understand that, like especially Scandinavia, we are also leading in mental health issues and a lot of suicidal issues. As Joan touched the issue of suicide, actually it's very high here. And the basic concept is that we seems to touch on that we don't have the terminology even in our own local languages on what mental health is. It's just simple if we can break it down to say we care about our body, and this body can get sick. The way our mind works, we think can also go wrong, and that's the mental health. Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be so complicated, but the fact that if we experience that our thoughts are getting stuck in some way and getting difficult, creating a lot of stress into us, that is already dysfunction, which we'll call a mental health issue. It's just simple as we can come down to it. So working with young men, it is one, the stage of development in life is that one has a lot of ambition, thoughts, and plan to achieve whatever one has set for himself. And coming to a new country, it gives you some kind of constraints which you didn't even anticipate in the beginning. And when it comes, at that time, those constraints come, and you have no one to talk about it. You get a lot of questions in your mind, so many questions which are unanswered, and you struggle to get the answers. Whatever you can come up with are only assumptions, and those assumptions, you know yourself very well that they are not true. It doesn't address your problem. And the fact that it goes on rolling alone in your mind, it ends up with that you get a wrong answer or lose hope in doing whatever you want to do. And most young people, when it gets tougher, they lose hope. And once they lose hope, then the issues of giving up and depression comes in. And we are all social animals that, whether we like it or not, from birth, we're raised in a group as people and have someone all around us. And when we are struggling with our things, we bubble it out, we verbalize it, we make it known, everybody hears it, and makes it easier. So with the young people, when they leave their societies and they come into a new society, they don't have friends, they don't have network, they don't have family, they don't have anyone. That social network is cut out. There is a big difficulty that they end up thinking alone and fall into the path of depression. And now what do we do? If you see someone is slipping into depression, the signs are very clear. You see that someone like is giving up, do not want to do anything anymore, like not motivated to do anything, would prefer to just sleep and lie there, and suddenly you come and realize already has injured himself, cut himself in hands, or used a razor blade and injured himself. Those are simple signs that we see, and the most important thing is we give an opportunity for a person to be able to share it. The word is share. Don't leave it inside to bubble alone. Share it. Get a confidant, get a friend, get someone you know, you share it with. And here in a working institution is easier because there are a number of counselors who are working at the same time, which can find a demotivated person and try to talk to and motivate him to open up. And the moment the person opens up, talk about it, relieve it out, reflect it, even that in itself is the first process, like pricking a balloon to diffuse the tension. And when it gets more complicated than this, there is a possibility of getting professionals to get into the ground to begin some kind of form of therapy. And whether diagnosed or undiagnosed, still a person needs someone constantly to be able to reflect and share his own thoughts with. And many times, young men who are in a foreign land have little people, some are confident to share whatever the thoughts they are having. And therefore, they sit up with it. And as a result, it leads finally to depression. So most of our work with our young people in this country was keep an eye constantly on who is, because it's a 24 hours operation. It's easy to see who is having what difficulty. But when it comes to students who are considered to be very independent people, strong and capable of handling their life so well, this is the most neglected group of people. The society don't see them. Only grades will show that something is wrong. And nobody sometimes even care whether the grades are falling or not. And at the end of the day, the person himself found himself stuck and not capable of either going ahead or going back. And that is where the difficulty is. And the question is, do you have someone to share? Do you have someone even to say that I don't feel like doing anything? I just lost energy. That in itself, to say it, do you have someone to say? I stop here.
That was deep. As a parent, Ladu, you are a parent of some boys coming up. They haven't reached that age yet.
Yeah.
But as a parent, what would you tell parents? How would they talk to students who are kind of, losing it or are not yet anymore motivated to continue the school, and the parents are, and you have that pressure of, you don't really know how to address it to your parents because they are working hard to send you the money to continue studying and your grades are dropping. How do you say that in the phone call back home that I'm really, depressed? I can't continue. I want to drop out of the university. How would one start? And as a parent, what would you say to your son or daughter who's really struggling?
If I look at myself as a parent with a university student son or a daughter, I think that would be more easier. But if I look at a parent, myself as a parent who do not understand issues with the mental health, then probably I would be a constraint or a difficulty on that student, because all I would think is do the best and make us proud. And I forget what exactly you are going through. But when I look from now, with my kids, which started so early right now, is that any thought you have, any difficulty you think, let us talk about it. It doesn't matter, even if how terrible it sounds, even if it sounds like you want to let me down. All my effort, working hard and sending you money, this idea of dropping out is just killing me. I cannot let this one go on. But at the moment, I can tell you, let us talk about it. And how does that, probably talking about it in itself, you saying, I really don't have the energy to continue with this thing. That in itself is what I call putting the prick on the balloon, diffuses it a little bit. Okay, what is the issue? Is there any other thing that can be done? Do you think you have chosen the wrong path of education? just talking about it, getting someone to roll it, just reflect over it, just talk about it, even if it sounds painful, but let us just talk about it. And probably sometimes realize, say, after thinking about it and seeing all the other possibilities, then you realize that, yeah, well, I think I just didn't get enough attention to see what I really wanted to do. I didn't. You will find that the person get a new perspective. But if, for example, the two, Emmanuel and Shailene, ring me and say, yeah, I really don't know whether petroleum engineering was the right thing I've chosen. And my parents have invested so much now on it. And that is just going to kill them if the whole idea of me saying I'm not able to push on. Another question is, how did it start actually? We go back, talk about it. Maybe there are things you didn't talk about it when you chose petroleum engineering. Can we talk about those issues? You go back to it, you talk freely about it. And whether you realize it was a mistake, probably sometimes you just lost that glitch, which actually pushed you towards engineering. And then after a while, I realized, say, yeah, I think I still love it. It is just something distracted me. What is it? Yeah, probably these issues around in the campus or this is that and all that distracted me. Now I realize, see myself more clearly. That is what I really wanted to. Going back to it, having someone to share with, to go back through, trace yourself path back to where you are today. It will just help in some way. So as a parent, we should really be open to discuss those issues. Well, let a student, he's the one, after all, you're investing for his life, not really for your life, not really for your own life, because we say we're extending ourselves to our children so they can become better people in their own life, but really not to us. We are already in the past tense. We're going to die in some point. It doesn't matter whether I'm proud in the grave or I'm proud wherever it is. The pride doesn't strike anything. The most important thing is just you help this little one to succeed in his own path. Then you push your genes ahead. That's the pride about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lado. I think it starts earlier on with the very early age, starting talking about feelings, addressing this issue, and being open about it. And that's also where the campaign and the advocacy of Juan comes in, addressing this issue openly with parents. So I think Juan has something to talk with you, Lado, and invite you to the radio to talk to the parents. So thank you so much. I move on to you, Majulaine and Emmanuel. As students, how do you tackle the stress of studies and independent living away from home, from family and loved ones? And how has your association been of support to you and to the other South Sudanese students in Malaysian universities?
I think I would go as this Emmanuel dropped out. Yeah, when I first came to Malaysia, I think what helped me like tackle the stress was joining so many groups, as many groups as I could, including SAMO, and then cooking home food like combo, like so I could not like feel homesick. I would bring combo. I cook others my way. I cook like whatever it is that would remind me of home. I would also just put myself out there, like to have friends, to make friends. I tried to avoid staying alone because I noticed the more I leave myself inside, I start feeling homesick and just cry sometimes for no reason. But when I started making friends, reaching out, and just cooking those foods, I think it helped me cope with that stress and feeling alone. And then when it came to my studies, I was lucky to have South Sudanese students who are seniors. So I just reached out and I'm like, guys, I need help. I'm new here. I don't know anything. And it was stressing me out. I was panicking. So when I reached out and I told them, please help me, they were there, like ready to help me. I cannot really forget these guys because they kind of helped me in the most like vulnerable times, the times like I needed them the most. They helped me out and they just guided me. And I noticed, okay, there was nothing actually wrong with me. I just needed some guidance in that area. And then I also shared my feelings. I video called my mom so many times. I think she got tired. I feel like when I came outside, that's when I talked to my mom so much because I always like video call, video call, video call. But all of that really helped me so much to just cope with the stress, and also like, you know, to just not feel as homesick as I thought I would feel. Yeah. Samu, I think, Samu, I told you like, from my biography or bio, you mentioned that I joined Samu immediately. Yeah, I joined, and then that group helped me because I think the events they organize, when we come together, we eat the same food together, we dance, or we have like the sports carnivals. All of those, they really helped us to just unite and to relate with each other out here, and to know that you're not alone. I'm not alone. Like, we're all going through the same thing. And then I remember the previous committee, yeah, especially the presidents, they were very helpful in a way that when there was South Sudanese students who have gotten arrested, they would go out and bail them out, or they would just visit them if they couldn't bail them out. And we had South Sudanese students who went to hospital, they got sick and all of that. They also visited them, and when they had the financial support from back home, they could help people who were struggling, especially the ones that needed the money urgently. Like, if you don't pay rent, you get kicked out, or if you don't pay these fees, you will have to drop out. Like those urgent cases, someone would step in and just help until the student is able to like get back on track. So those are some of the things that Samu did, especially prior to the pandemic. After the pandemic, things got a bit different, but yeah, that's how they used to help and all.
Thank you so much. And having senior students that helped you or supported you through this process was very important. And now you're also doing that to other students coming in. So it's really good to have such student associations. So thank you so much. Then I'll jump to you, Emmanuel. I think I'll ask you the same question. How were you able to cope or tackle the stress of academic life and being independent, living away from home, from your family and loved ones?
Okay,
And how
can
has
you guys?
you're the president of the association, and we've already had some good things you're doing. So, but your role as a president, what challenges have you been facing in regards to, meeting the needs of students, vulnerable students?
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Dora, for giving me this opportunity. As I've been introduced, my name is Emmanuel Bulan, and currently I'm the president of the South Sudanese Student Association in Malaysian universities. So, just to, I would like to take this opportunity to really, really appreciate you guys for providing for us bigger platform in order to reach out. Uh, This initially, what we thought of it is like this is important. We need to talk about it. We need to help our students here in Malaysia in one way or another. Like, if we cannot do it, because if we don't have the people to talk about this, we can reach out, and uh, uh, the positive feedback that we got from your platform really means a lot to us. And as we go through the session, hopefully, like all the students get some of the issues cleared out, and ways to move forward, because mental health is really very important, as it has been stressed before by our elder John Nadu, and also I appreciate what Ms. Joan also mentioned before regarding mental health and how it roles in a different situation helping out students. So yeah, I just like to put that forward before I move back to the question. So yeah, as an international student living here in Malaysia, for me I can say uh, being involved actively with the student activities and clubs, and also making friends plays a very huge role, because when I arrived to Malaysia 3 years ago, I was fresh, and back then there was no pandemic, so activities was a bit different. The university campus was like every university is a lot of people who can interact, make new friends, and one of the ways that normally students cope up is to stay in touch with their family. I was in touch with my family back home throughout my beginning years. I talked to my dad consecutively, updates. This is going well. And another thing to mention, I'm privileged to get the scholarship, the Ronaldo scholarship. So I'm kind of sponsored to do my degree here in Malaysia. So it's not the same like a private student, but I'm really glad for this opportunity. So normally the thing that I face is just to keep them updated, how I settle down, how studies is moving, is there challenges, is there not. So these are normally the things I talk to them about. And being abroad really, I have my own goals and drive to keep me going. So in the beginning, it was just a matter of taking time, to adapt to the study abroad. It is not easy, but this is now my role in order to really get my foot going. And yeah, to talk about also some of the challenges maybe I might have faced along the way, could be relating to also mental health, because as a student, it's not only like bad grades that affect us. A lot of things affect us, maybe financially, maybe even like in terms of there are so many factors to mental health. We do not take it as one category, as has been mentioned before by some of the panelists here. So anything else, maybe stress, maybe school loads, everything like affects you mentally. You can't think right. So yeah, even I've been in that area, and there is always that feeling when you're a student abroad. You don't have to burden your people back home. You just have to find your own ways to make it work. Because if you're trying to bring your problems back home, it's like you're adding a pile of problems to what they already have. So what normally ways I try to cope up is the circle I have around me and how I channel to settle my problems. Uh, my university is quite good. There is a platform where you can access to mental health professionals in the university. Talk to them about your issues. If regarding academics, they can offer you some assistance in terms of how to improve, or if you want to. It's really quite good platform. Some students use it, but normally we internationals, we just have that feeling, you can't share about your problems, your personal things, and especially boys compared to girls. Uh, it's very hard for us, even if you're going through a very worst situation, very hard for us to share about it. So we normally try to find different ways to handle this type of stress. I've been in so many low places during my study so far, but hopefully I managed to cope up through some of the ways I mentioned. So yeah, actually I'm really happy for this opportunity that other students might be able to relate to what you guys are saying and be able to move forward. So that's how we approach this question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I understand why they put you as the president of the association, because it's really good to have you've met your own experiences. You have it seems you have some strategies to cope up, and it I believe it's both of you are an inspiration to the other students and a support. So thank you so much. I was just wondering, are there any other bodies apart from the student association that is supporting you there that you can reach out to, be it South Sudanese or other associations that are supporting you there?
For the meantime, normally here in Malaysia, I don't know about other countries. So every university have their own student association based on the number. If you like big number in that university, you can form your own society, create WhatsApp group, and a way how to manage your things. But some universities have like a very low number, 1 to 3, less than 10. So it's very hard for them to form any society. That's why we have that this SAMO, South Sudanese student in Malaysia. It's kind of a big umbrella to bring together all the students. So all these activities that we plan, we target to reach out to all the students because we have their contacts, their details, something like that. So basically, SAMO is like the only bigger platform that brings together all the South Sudanese in Malaysia. There is no any other society. And also another thing to mention, we don't have an embassy here in Malaysia, which is compared to other countries. If they have any issue, they can just go to the embassy, maybe like alarming issues, they can be settled. But for us, we only have the sum currently.
So you don't have any support directly from the government, also? Not
From
at
the
the moment.
government, no, nothing,
No.
no.
Okay, I'll come to like as a conclusion. Yeah, so I'll ask you later. Thank you so much. Thank you. Both Julian and Emmanuel have gathered some questions from their students that they need to be addressed during this session. So we have a number of questions that now I'll be asking, and then it will be like a conversation between you all two. So as John and Joan will try to answer some of the questions, Julian and Emmanuel, feel free to jump in and just comment. So it will be like more of a conversation now that we are going into, and then I'll be checking some questions from the audience. The first question that you have sent is about motivation. I think John has touched a little bit of that, but it's like the question is about concerning why can't I be motivated to do anything? Is this thing when you get into that low point where you feel like you're not motivated to do things that you need to do? Why can't a student be motivated? That was one question. And the other thing is about overthinking. Is overthinking a habit, or how do we deal with that? So the floor is yours. I don't know who wants to start first. John Lado, maybe?
Okay. Motivation. One in life, we always up and down. There is always up and down moments. We feel like we want to do things, and we feel encouraged to do more. And there are moments that we feel like there is no energy to do it. But what could be behind this? That's the issue. It's quick to jump and say, "Oh, this is a sign of depression," but that's too early to jump to it and say it's a sign of depression. Loss of motivation, probably it originates in how your thinking goes on, how you think within the process. What is the process you engage yourself on what you want to do? And sometimes thoughts can make you get stuck, in which you want to move from point A to B, and the thoughts that should guide you through to this point to come there are distorted or not very clear, and then makes you go out of, and then the feeling that you're stuck, you can't go anywhere. And that makes it very difficult. And sometimes you might realize that you have so many thoughts that are non-productive, which occupied your mind and leading you nowhere, and results to that you end up giving up. And when you give up, you don't say that I have given up, but you just realize that there is no energy. That's a sign that you're giving up. And then the question is asked yourself, am I giving up really? So this self-dialogue within yourself should be very active. And if you realize it is not going on well, the dialogue, it's better you talk to someone that why am I not able to do anything? I read and I don't understand. I try to whatever I want to do, I don't get it. Talk to someone, and probably someone has a tips. Probably you might come out, you need just some kind of activity and change your mind, your routine, and come out of it and refresh your mind and your thoughts, and you realize that you are not stuck anymore. You get the energy to continue. Because in itself, being occupied with one thing, which is reading and learning, it can be so taxing and energy draining. All of us did it. As students, we know it can drain you and leave you with nothing. And when that energy is drained, then you realize that you just feel like lying there in bed and do nothing from morning till evening. And that is a big energy drain. So it's better to get out. Majuline has some good strategies, which she managed to survive with it, and that are good to hear. Get out there, meet people, get out there, be active, do something else, which is not related to what you really want to do. If it was wanted to write a paper, you want to get done with it, and you are stuck, just get to do something else. That means the mind needed a break. And when you get a break, you come back to it, you realize that, yeah, well, now the mind has loosened up, it has opened. I can maybe go together and do something about it. So to be motivated is not a one end thing. It keeps on. You will keep yourself finding yourself losing motivations, and you need to find a way, get out and refresh. Don't get stuck doing the same thing. You realize that you have a way out. It's like having a door, you want to go through it and it's closed, and you keep on knocking and knocking it. You never get out. See whether the window is open, and there you can come out. Yeah. So it sounds very simple when I say this, but as a student, I'm in 90s, late 80s and 90s, ended up in some of these difficulties studying outside, where you have no one and you realize that you're stuck. You even don't want to go further with whatever you're doing. You just feel like getting away and do something else, which you don't know what it is. It is natural when it happens, but don't give up the most important thing. Was there any connection to the question too?
Thank you. I just want to add, and then I'll get to question two. I think, thank you, Ladu. And motivation, of course, it involves it involves the biological, emotional, social, and cognitive forces that activates a behavior, be it like if it's studying, it's the behavior that you want to activate. And if you're not feeling well emotionally, then you'll not have that motivation to do what you are supposed to do. And also when you don't have a social network to encourage you to do what you're supposed to do, then it becomes difficult. Because motivation is also sometimes, for others, it's like an internal motivation. Because you know you have a goal to achieve, then you are motivated by yourself because your feelings are okay, you're feeling well with yourself, you have a network support around you, then you will be able to motivate yourself internally. And for others, they need always to be motivated by the external forces. Someone tells you, okay, let's go study. You're waiting for that call to motivate you. So it's like, because when it's not from within, then it becomes difficult. So it's this thing of also cultivating it from within. But then if you're not feeling well with yourself, if you're having these excessive feelings, if you're not having enough confidence yourself, then it becomes difficult to motivate yourself. So I think it also we look at both the external factors that contribute to, giving us more motivation, and the internal factors that if we're not feeling well with ourselves, then it will take so much more motivation to come out of that. Yes. Thank you. And the other question is in regards to the overthinking. Why is overthinking a habit, and how do we deal with that?
Overthinking it's a habit, and a habit is developed gradually. Doing things again and again, doing it again and again, and as neuroscientists will put it, that you develop a neural connection to what you have been doing, and as it keeps on going again and again, it gets myelinated. And then with the myelinated lines of thinking, you are going to do the same again and again and again. And that is natural. It's okay. But the point is, if you think again and again, and it begins creating stress, then it gets negative. But thoughts are always there. Whether we like it or not, we'll always think. Whether even you just lie down in bed, the mind will start rolling. Because they are habits we have already developed since we were children and adolescents, basically, mainly. The way we develop those lines of thinking. And we will think always, sometimes we think constructively, wanting to come to a solution. But sometimes the thoughts just come rolling like that, which comes when you want to put yourself to bed. You will think you want to sleep, and then it is start coming. In form of self-talk, in form of revising what has happened during the day, unwillingly. You have no control over it. They are always thoughts. They are not dangerous. They are not going to harm you, but they can bother you, especially when you want to sleep. Then what do you do when they keep on bothering you to sleep? Many experts advise that when you overthink and it distracts you from what is vital, like a student need to sleep enough to be able to function the next day, even people who work, you need to sleep enough to function the next day. When the thoughts are distracting you from the important thing like sleeping or studying or doing that, then that you will know that this is becoming a malady. This is now becoming a problem. And the question is, do you have anyone to share with? Do you have an expert to talk with about the thinking patterns on how to direct you, maybe to give you tips on how do you divert yourself from thinking? How do you find another way of not thinking, but taking a break from thinking? And they are, especially you are in Asia, Asians are known worldwide to be the best in managing overthinking and managing the over stress. And there are many tips, especially from the Asians. I would mention others. Say, meditate, take a walk, walking meditation, refresh, get refreshed, go to jog, make an exercise, get into something that will push up your pulse up, and the thoughts will just give you a break. You draw your attention to something else. Even sometimes when you want, before you cannot sleep, the thoughts are coming and over. Sometimes write them down. Just wake up and write them down. You realize that they start vanishing, losing their power, and you go back to bed until their power just goes away. It is natural, it's not dangerous, but it is a habit or a pattern which has developed itself already there. No way to remove it, but there is a way to redirect it somewhere else until you build a neural connections that makes you able to do some things, answer to what when it comes to become too much.
Oh. Thank you, John Lado. I just wanted to add in regards to that, because it's like with thinking or overthinking, and sometimes, when it goes, over a certain period of time, and it can become like an obsessive compulsive behavior, just like, some people are so much, into controlling things, or very clean and so much afraid of being infected, so everything they have to clean, it becomes a habit that is obsessive and compulsive, and it becomes an illness right away. And it's like also with having to you always have to have answers to questions, and it's like you're having these disturbing or distressing thoughts every time. So if it continues, then it becomes a problem, and that's when you have to seek help and talk to someone else, a professional, I would say. Yeah, thank you, Juan. You came into the right time. So now we were talking about motivation. One of the questions that the students asked is about motivation. Why one doesn't, one lose motivation, for instance, in studying, and about obsessive thoughts or having overthinking. Is it a problem, and how do we address that? So John has given us his insights into that. So I don't know if you want to add something, please.
Amazing. I want to keep saying that dealing with the mind is the most complex thing anybody would ever want to get involved in. So when it comes to motivation, the first question is, as they asked, why am I not motivated? So your demotivation comes as a result of things within you and also things outside of you. Okay? So when it comes to inside of you, you may want to think about, do I want to do this? Now, when you have questions of whether you should or not, then that becomes a problem. You definitely not want to put the effort to go forward. Okay? So as students, there could be that thought of, I don't want to become a doctor, but my parents want me to study medicine. Okay, now that is a conflict of interest. So when you have a conflict of interest in something, you want to do this, but again, you don't want to do it, but there's this, you have to do it. At the end of the day, you will feel down. And when you feel down, you start to focus on the problem. Okay? So the moment you start focusing on, I don't want to do this, now that is where the problem is. You don't want to do this. So what do you want to do? Okay? You don't want to do this. You don't want to open up that you don't want to do this. And you feel you cannot open up about it. So now that's where mental health crisis comes in. Before you know it, you're stressed. You're overthinking. And what are you overthinking about? Is it a positive thing? No, it is a negative thing. Okay? So before you know it, you are drained. You're stressed. Soon you fall into depression. Okay? And once you start to fall into depression, and that is where you feel you can't even open up. When you're still stressed, you could have a chance of opening up. But once you're depressed, it becomes a big thing. You are now the judge. You are now your own lawyer. You are debating in your head, and then you will judge for yourself and sentence yourself to either suicidal thoughts or probation in terms of, let me try this and that. Yes. So motivation comes back to your personal principles as a human being, as a student. What do you want to achieve? Okay. Do you have goals? What are your ambitions? What do you want to see yourself at within a range of maybe 5 years? What do you want to achieve? So when you don't have all these, then eventually you are going to be demotivated. You don't know what you're doing. Okay? So as students, we need to look at, why am I studying? Are you studying for your father? Are you studying for your sponsor, or something else? If you're studying for yourself, what are the things that you need to do in order to achieve your goals? And that is positive thinking. Now, when you think positive, you're definitely not going to have issues with demotivation. The factors are, the fact is that there's always going to be obstacles, okay, in life, whether in your studies or even after your achievements. There's always going to be things that will hinder you from doing the right thing. Now, the reason as to why we create awareness on mental health is not to get away with these issues. It is to find a way of how we can focus while we face these issues. Okay? Yes. So overthinking, you find people. I want to say, if you don't think, if you really don't think hard, you are never productive. Okay? The people that achieve are people that think a lot. So when you're overthinking, I don't know how we can define overthinking here, but when you're thinking of how to get up there, I think it's a good thing. Okay? But then when we put the word over, when you're doing it too much, it's gonna break you down. Okay? The pressure that comes with anxiety to get up there is very, very bad for your health. So you will definitely have to think, but have to have a plan on how you can achieve these things. When we have plans of how we can achieve things, it's going to lessen how much we think. Okay? Now, if we're looking at overthinking in a negative way, which happens mostly with the young people, myself inclusive, is that there's a lot of pressure that comes from the external factors. Okay? The external factors, the examination pressure that we have in schools. You must, where I went to school, they used to beat us for not achieving a level of some certain math. So if you get below that, you are caned. So you always feel like, why must? I mean, I have to do my best in order to achieve. You are not focusing on the content you are learning, but focusing on passing the exam in order not to be caned. Now, all these external factors are going to be there, where your parents would say, oh, I'm not going to pay your fees if you don't get these grades, okay? And then you have to work hard for that. So at the end of the day, as a student, you are going to be drained. But once you notice, because we're not going to stop, we cannot avoid these people from putting all this pressure onto us. Okay? It's the school, it's the standards you have to achieve. If we are to fight that, it's going to take us ages. Okay? Let's look at the private institutions. It's going to be a hard thing to deal with. But you as a person now have to learn how to work in this system without having a lot of overthinking. What is it that the school wants? They want you to achieve. What do you have to do to achieve? Focus. You are a mediocre, you want to, you're an average student, you want to be, high, consult your seniors. I love when the students here in Malaysia want to help each other. And it's a spirit of South Sudanese, I must say that. When South Sudanese are outside of South Sudan, they have that unity. He's my brother, he's my sister. This all divisionism is only within the country. So it's a very positive thing. So when you feel that you are pressured, seek help. Seek help from those that you feel can help you. Okay? Is it this particular lecturer? You have to talk to this lecturer. I am low in this. These are my challenges. How can I overcome? And they will be there to guide you. Okay? And again, when you feel that it's too much, I think that's where you will need to seek for to share this information with somebody professional. Okay? If you cannot get a professional in these universities, I believe uh, there are those uh, departments where you do go for help, you seek therapy and all that. Okay, that's where now you need to go out there because sometimes we have issues to do with confidentiality. If there's an issue that is external, for example, I would say a lecturer wants to have sex with a student in order to accept the coursework assignment. Okay, maybe you did not attend classes because of certain things, but now he wants you to do this. It is a very big thing. He has a position in the school, and you feel you want to talk to discuss it with your parents, but they won't believe you. You want to discuss it with another teacher, but you fear that they might talk to that particular person, and at the end of the day, you'll be in wrong and you lose it. So you get this whole huge thing you're carrying on your head. So that's where you have to seek help outside the environment. Okay? So talking about overthinking and motivation, it really, really is a very big thing, I must say. And given the fact that it's an issue of the mind, and we just have to learn how we can get help. I think definitely. And our attitude also determines how we are going to handle this. Are you willing to seek for help? Are you willing to get this done? That is a personal question. So it will come from there. If you feel you are willing, sometimes we want to help people, but they are not willing to be helped. So it's not going to work. You'll go for that therapy, you'll go for that counseling, and you'll come back the same. And that's why we just, as a community, we need to keep talking about this. Let's normalize discussing mental health. Let's normalize to tell our parents to start to talk to children as young as they are of age, so that they can be free to express themselves and tell you what they feel and what is happening in their lives. That will minimize a lot of the things that young people are going through.
Thank you so much for so much important perspectives that you put into this. Thank you so much. My Julian and Emmanuel, do you want to add something on this?
Emmanuel, can you hear me? It's like the network is not cool.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Emmanuel and Majulian, do you want to add something? A comment?
Julian, do you want to go first?
I think I'm okay. I was just listening to Mr. John and Miss John, and I think they have covered a lot of things that make
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, yes, I would like to just add something small. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, Mr. John, and also Ms. John. So, some of these answers that you shared just now, based on your experience and like uh, a role as a senior in the platform. So, I feel like I can relate to, and in one way, I can benefit from this because always when you try to settle things on your own, your mental capacity gives you something that you think, for the meantime, this is how I can do. But when you listen to someone else, it opens your mind, broadens your perspective, gives you new ways of how to handle like what you have been going through. And through the answers you guys have been giving, I can also relate, and I think, yeah, I should have done this maybe better, how to handle it better. So I think I'm picking up some very good ideas, and that's something I think is good to learn through such platforms. And yeah, I encourage such discussions because if we are still students, we still need to learn more. It's not only about academics, our mental health is important, and also like being able to address these issues as early as now will prepare us. Next time when we're parents, we will know how to like handle this better because uh, if you don't learn about this now, tomorrow you are in the position to teach someone, to bring someone up, like you have a child, so you don't know about this, so it's going to be a problem for you as well. So some of these answers are good. Thank you so much. And yeah.
Thank you. The next question is on expectations, and there's a certain, as I say, there's always a certain level of expectations people have from students to perform well, and that builds up a lot of pressure on us and causes us to stress a lot. How do we cope with the pressure of expectation? That's a good one. Yeah, who wants to go first? Mule, I see your mic is on, so you can continue.
Uh,
John, oh,
who used to go first?
yeah.
You can go on. You can go on.
Okay. Expectations. It's one of the heavy words which has a lot of impact in each and every human being on earth. Since we are born, there is always expectations, and these are connected to dreams our parents have. Our society, when we grow up, we become adults, society have expectations of us. Our social groups have expectations of us. And in all aspects, it pushes us to become either alienated or become some social chameleons. So either way, expectations form us either positive or negative. And that is part of life. Can we deal with it? Not possible. They are there. But how, the question is, can we navigate it? Yeah, it's possible to navigate expectations. It is not easy to make compromises on expectations. Say, if Dora expect me to do A, B, C, and I am not capable of doing that, I'm going to disappoint Dora. And therefore, can Dora reduce C and A and leave me with the B? There is no compromise about it, especially in situations whereby parents are paying for you, sponsors are paying for you. There are always conditions connected to it, and that's what expectation is about. We expect you to do this when we do this. I do my part, you do your part. And that creates a lot of pressure. Okay, maybe I've done my part. Okay, I would not like to disappoint you because you have done your part. And that transaction in itself creates pressure. And that pressure, especially for students, it is even more. It's not only a pressure from your sponsors that you have to get grades that to pass in order to qualify for more grants. but it can be also from parents who have labored so hard and have their dreams to have a successful kid. And that in itself, you do not want to be a disappointment, because that disappointment would always resonate a lot of talk about you. You become a topic of the day, or of days or months or years even, as much as the disappointment is bigger. So when expectations are high, we are likely going to disappoint. But what do we do with these expectations? Are they for our betterment, or it is for the betterment of someone else? It might sound very selfish if I go very individualistic and say, if you expect me to be a doctor and I am supposed to be the doctor for myself, for my betterment, then that expectation is easy to handle. But if that expectation is for me to be a doctor, which I do not want to be, then there will be really a problem in that expectation, because I will not have the energy to, I will always be in fear to disappoint. And that fear in itself is stress, create a lot of stress, and will make it very, very difficult for each and everyone to go on. And I would understand students who are international students, especially sent or sponsored by sponsors and parents, that element of disappointment is the most pressing issue that would make it very difficult for all of you. I do not want to let you down, but think one thing: don't let yourself down. Think of always yourself. And if you don't let yourself down, you will not let down the others also.
Definitely.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Student
Definitely.
media.
Definitely. If you don't let yourself down, you will not let others down. I just want to agree with him so much. One thing I feel is someone once told me is that when you do your best and things don't work out, be proud. Don't, I mean, you've done your best. What you can do is just to do your best. You give it your all, and then whatever comes out of that, that's not a big deal, okay? Because as a student, you have these goals. If you know your parents or your school expects this of you, put down the plan. Know how you can achieve this. If you cannot, seek help. Get clarity as early as you can, and then work towards it. When you put your best and you fail, it's not your problem. It's not your fault. Even those that support you will understand that indeed he or she did her best or his best. Okay? It's a progress. When it comes to expectation, this is something that you've set for a period of time. So they will be able to monitor your progress. Okay? That is I'm giving a mechanism of how to deal with the external expectations, not those that are within you. Yeah. So you just have to be able to follow the plan that you already have, so that you won't disappoint yourself too. Because the moment you fail to plan, you will definitely disappoint yourself. And it's going to be obvious that you disappoint everyone else around you. So I think, yeah.
Thank you. That was a good one. Thank you. Um, there's a question from the audience, and that was about opening up, talking about your mental health issues or when you're not feeling well. But then there's this issue of vulnerability, the fear of vulnerability, the fear of opening up. How would you deal with that? If you can just briefly touch on that.
Wow, I think there's so many people that actually would want to seek help, but they have fears of what others would say about it. Okay, and then they just feel they cannot be vulnerable, especially the men. Okay, because the society has taught us that men are not supposed to be weak. When they start to express themselves, they are already weak. And they feel that it's not possible. They may be laughed at. So there's that big of thing that we just have to still work on. The society has a lot of stigma, a lot of stereotyping, and a lot of all these cultural things that have been there since ages. Okay, and it's going to be hard for us to deal with it. However, I and anybody else who's interested in mental health would say, please take it upon yourself as a responsibility. You need help. Seek for it. Try all you can to ask for help. And when you fail, it's not your fault. At least you try to seek for help. And I would also encourage those that are within here to reach out to the South Sudanese women intellectuals, to reach out to the Mental Health South Sudan Society, and all those that are giving mental health related support. Please do reach out. This is, you can just text or call, email, and do something, and you'll be helped. I'm very sure you'll be helped.
Thank you so much. Oladu, you want to add something?
Yeah, that it's a good point there, Joan. You alluded to that boys don't cry. That's how we're raised, and it's a very sad thing, but it is what it is. It is a chronic attitude which being ingrained on us that we have to be strong, and you don't have to cry. You don't have to. You don't have to shout. You just have to bottle it up and swallow it. And the question is, if we bottle it up and swallow it and explode in us, is that best? Do you want to keep it in you until you explode? Because that's what the end of it. And the explosion can be in form of suicide or can be in form of anything else, which destroys you. Then what? Then you die like a hero. The hero for who? For nobody. So before we start fearing talking out or speaking out about issues we are suffering with or struggling with, we should better let us see in the perspective of principle of pain and a principle of pleasure and pain. Is it something that is desirable for me? If I talk about it, that is going to make it better for me? Or it is something that is going to have a greater consequence, which is going to destroy me? If I don't talk about it, is it going to be for my good or it is going to be for my ruin? Those kind of line of examining before one bottle it up and keep it to himself. And another one is, what is so dangerous if I share it out? And if someone laugh at me, will that kill me or just kill my ego? My ego won't die, no matter what fear it is. Yes, I will be belittled, I will be feeling this, but at the end of the day, I am alive and I never do anything stupid with my life. So those are the serious issues that I am addressing. We men should look into it seriously. That opening up is better to save yourself than to keep on ending up hanging on a rope or something like that. So that is something cultural, and we have to look into it and talk about it, and we have to get down those statistics which moved you, Juan, to activism on this issue. I stop here.
Yeah, that's deep. Thank you, Ladu, for bringing this up. Yeah, the time is running out. So we have to take the last question before your final recommendations. The students are asking, at what stage of stress, challenges, and all the different stages should they, as students, seek assistance from mental health professionals? When is the right time to do that?
Amazing. I would say as soon as you discover, as soon as you notice that you cannot handle something, and you also feel that the environment you're in cannot help you, it is time for you to seek help from a third party that is not partisan in this sense. It's time for you to get, if it's a family issue, it's something to do with your parents mistreating you or something, and you feel you cannot talk to your father about it, it's time you seek a professional help. Go to your local centers, where these counseling centers are. You could even choose to go away from the community because of issues of confidentiality. Go to another station where counseling services are done. Express your feelings, talk to them, and let them guide you on how to go about this. I'm sure these facilities can help you so much, can help you so much. So anytime you feel that you cannot handle something, especially because mental health has a lot, there's so many things that contribute to mental health. You could talk of the conflicts, okay? Traumatic events of the past, okay? You talk about domestic violence, okay? There's so many things, loss of loved ones. This still can affect how you live, and they will keep traumatizing you, especially when the things of the past that have not been dealt with. So as soon as you discover that you cannot handle something, before you start thinking you're your own judge, your own lawyer, and then sentence yourself to suicidal thoughts and eventually commit suicide, we would encourage that you just learn to open up to those that you feel can help you. If you feel the environment cannot, then you can go and seek for professional support. Yeah.
Thank you. Radu?
I very much agree, John. The moment you feel that you are stuck, get it out there. Find who can get you out of this. It's just like when you're driving in a vehicle, you're stuck in the mud. Just remember that the next car that comes, call for help to pull you out. Seek a professional can pull you out of that mud before you remain there and stop.
And I also think it's important that we are like each other's keepers. Like if you notice a friend, a student that usually takes good care of themselves, dresses well, and starts neglecting themselves, neglecting their well-being and all this, that's already an alarm that something is not going on right. And talk to the person. And when you see that the help that you're trying to give as an association, as individuals, are not helping, try to encourage the person to seek help from a professional. And sometimes we need it takes time to realize that you really need that help. Again, it has to do with the pride as human. You want to fix things yourself, but then you reach a stage where you can't do it yourself. You need someone else to talk to. So prevention is better than cure, as they say. So we should really work on preventative measures. Thank you so much. This is a topic that doesn't get touched in 1 hour or two. There definitely has to be a part 2 or part 3 of it. And I think, Emmanuel, there are lots of questions you need to be answered, but we'll take it later. And then we'll try to get in a professional, a medical, mental health practitioner that could answer more of these questions deeply. But before we close up, I really want you to give your recommendations. As students, you are away from home. You need support. Your student association is supporting you. You're not having an embassy in Malaysia. But what support would you want to get from fellow South Sudanese out there, both at home and in other parts of the world, and also the government. The government of South Sudan is responsible for you as students because the competence that you're going to bring back in the country will be of such great benefit. So, what is your recommendation to the social welfare services, to all the services in South Sudan, and to the people of South Sudan? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Dora. As we are about to close the session, I think your question is actually very important. For me, I can speak on behalf of our student society, and, and there is a lot, some of the student societies out there, like if you're only sub-based supporting, the whole support system is based on the student contribution and trying to fund the whole association. It can get quite difficult sometimes because the students themselves are going through some issues financially. They cannot always keep contributing towards your activities. So what I can say the government can do, some countries where only the students alone managing themselves alone, maybe they can be put in a different category, because once we approach the government, we used to do that a few years back. We send out some of our seniors to go back to approach the government. We have this initiative. We have Independence Day coming up. We plan to do these activities for the students. Is there a way the government can just release a small amount just to help with the events? That's how we used to get funds back in the day before the COVID. But also, that's what I'm highlighting right now. If there is a way to, because some countries already with the embassy, they can send their proposals in advance. Maybe the government can look into that. Maybe like plan ahead to help them, with their activities. But for countries where maybe like there is no embassy or a way to help them with their activities, it's not only about the school activities, but also like situations where someone is about to be kicked out of university. How does only the society itself help the student in such a situation? If there is a way the government can set, uh, we can plan ahead and propose to them like ways for them to look ahead to put a small budget to help a few countries that organize themselves and came up with how the government can help them. If the government cannot, maybe like reach out to like raise our voice out there, in certain uh, bodies that can help students studying abroad. We understand the government at the moment is handling a lot of things, and also financial also is not that stable, but there is a lot of bodies out there that can sponsor student activities, and we just wish our voice can reach out there, and we are ready to plan ahead and also present our ideas, what kind of activities we want, what kind of support we want. We just want to be heard, and just have the idea that there is people out there who are willing to help us when we come with our request, or like we need the help from them. So that's my main concern out there. If our voice can be heard out there, it's really very important. So thank you.
Thank you. That's so important. Thank you so much. Majin, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think Emmanuel, he mentioned that already, but I just want to emphasize that we really need the financial support. For example, during the pandemic, um, many students actually didn't have food, and some we didn't have like money to at least buy groceries and just reach out for people to survive on. And some people get kicked out, so what they end up doing is just go all together and live in one house, and then whatever whoever parent that sends the money, they use that money to pay for a rent of one house. So during the pandemic, South Sudanese struggled, students struggled here in Malaysia a lot, and we did not know who to reach out to, and we did not have any like connection, and we also kind of got were like there was no point of reaching out because also like the country is struggling. But as Emmanuel mentioned, people out there who are willing to help like would be more than grateful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope the audience listening and others there will send the message further. So thank you so much. Yes, John Ladu, your final remarks and recommendation on this topic on how to work further with this. Thank you.
Yeah, being a student outside the country is not an easy task, and being a student generally it's a difficulty. But the most important thing is, what do I want to achieve? As we alluded to it, what do I want to achieve? Why am I doing this? And what can I get out of it? What is my dream? All this, we have to focus on our own dreams and thoughts or goals we set for ourselves that we wanted to achieve it there. There is no easy path to whatever one wants to achieve, or whether you're at home or you are in a foreign country. Always there will be obstacles in whatever you want to do. But the most important is resilience. how can we stand to beat? And I'm impressed to hear when Majulaine, you say, when you're talking about students finding coping mechanism on how to continue being student in the dire moments of difficulties of housing and all that. That is remarkable. I think for people who are hearing home, they should understand that this is a very strong and determined students who want to survive amidst the adversities, the difficulties they are facing. Even if you lie down on the floor, as long as I wake up the next day, go to school. This is remarkable. I feel inspired that you people are doing so much to stand the adversities, and that will one day be the past. No condition on earth is permanent. Being a student is never permanent. You will survive it, all of you, through the years, and you will come out of it and laugh about it. There will be some funny jokes and good stories about it. But the most important thing, keep the resilience. Even if you share rooms, you do whatever you want to survive, that is the relations you are building. That is the solidarity which is going to build the spirit that you take it home and teach us there at home. And let us be a people who can survive despite the difficulties we're facing today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lado. Yeah, Joan?
Yes, I'm actually very, very happy for hearing what um, Martin just said about how they were coping up with this crisis of the pandemic. Um, and it's really a spirit of South Sudanese to always be united whenever they're out of the country. And I think it's one thing that the association is doing to keep you guys have that bond and support one another. I don't know exactly if you have team, given students, of course, you don't have the resources to support one another, to see those that are having economic hardships. But I would suggest that you guys, when you have these really, really bad issues, you can reach out. I can recommend there is Donacy. Donacy is you could just search Donacy. There's one South Sudanese who's been going out to find. He's called Jacob Alwang. He goes out to find people that are really in need, and then in return comes to people for people to fund. And indeed, he's been doing great, and people have been really responding to this. So that we cannot have crisis of a student taking his or her own life because of given circumstances that could have been solved if we opened up. I've seen this with students in Uganda, South Sudanese, saving a birthday, some campaign of save, a friend, save a friend. Just come out and help them, even if they feel they don't need it, they're embarrassed. You, as the friends, come and sit, with others and come up with save a birthday. Just tell them this is happening. We have managed to raise this. Could you please help? South Sudanese are very generous people, and they can be able to help. And we don't. And it's really unfortunate that we don't have an embassy uh, in Malaysia that could, support you guys. I think that our government, if they're out there listening, should put into consideration and see that at least every country where South Sudanese students are at are given really, they have an embassy where they can run to when they have issues, especially crises like the pandemic. And I also want to say that you are doing great, and you need to keep doing it. And also let other students in other countries emulate the good work that you are doing, and let them reach out and let's support one another, because the students are the future of this country. By all means, once they study, they will come back and impact the country positively. From my side, and team as Mental Health South Sudan, I want to say we are rendering the best support that we can, and we're also asking people that can help in a sense, to come and then work and partner together. I'm really so happy and glad that the South Sudanese Women Intellectual Forum is taking this seriously, and they are really helping. So you can reach them, and you can reach out anytime you need support. To any viewer out there, please seek for help and do not sit on your problems, because when you open out, you never know, somebody out there may be able to help you. So let's just support one another, be kind, and watch one another. Most of all, let's be ambassadors of mental health, talk about it in our meetings, and then let's see, when you identify a friend is not doing the usual activities, is withdrawn, is not coming for these meetings, is not attending the parties, is not doing all these things, get worried, find the closest friends and find out, visit them, visit them in their apartments, go and talk to them to find out what exactly is happening. And that way, we'll be able to create a nation that is aware of mental health and reduce the death based on death caused by suicide and, and all that mental health related issues. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Those were great recommendations. And thank you so much, all of you, for your great input into this topic. And again, I've been inspired by Majuline and Emmanuel. We have had some chats in between trying to make this happen. And today we have really fulfilled this dream that has been on you, on your expectation of this session. Of course, as we said, it is a huge topic. We can't cover it up in a single day. We need to talk about it over and over. And Juan, thank you so much. We are definitely joining your network, and we need to be collectively together to fight or to bring awareness into our communities and our societies about mental health issues. And thank you so much, the SAU organization. You're doing a great job. And actually, they're planning on celebrating the Independence Day, and they're reaching out to every one of us individuals to contribute towards that, because as they've told you guys, they are trying their best, and I'm really impressed by the activities that they're doing. So after the session, I'm going to post on the Facebook group and the forum about their event and how you can be able to contribute. So please, let's work on and support this group and encourage also other students to join us. So thank you so much for joining us today, the audience. Thank you, the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum in Juba, for supporting Juan on with the network connection there. Thank you, John Ladu. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Majuline. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aisha, for supporting us with the technicalities of the background. So thank you so much, and have a blessed weekend, Father.